Thanks for downloading Pave the Way Podcast. On this show, your host, Greg Helbeck, interviews the top minds in real estate, business, and personal development to help you crack the code so you can grow your business and, more importantly, grow your life. Get ready for another game-changing episode. If you want to learn how to master your day and become a productivity monster, download Greg's free guide on daily personal productivity for free at www.pavetheday.com. That's Pave the Day, spelled DAY.com. Now it's time for today's episode. Enjoy.
Stratton, welcome back to the show, buddy. I'm happy to have you back on.
Thank you so much for having me back on, bro.
Dude, I think the first time we did an interview, you were like deep into the wholesaling business. And since our last conversation that was, I guess, public, you made a lot of big changes and you've started some other businesses. And I can just see you growing, mostly through your Instagram. I see, like your businesses you're starting and the people you're connecting with. And I got to say, I'm really proud of you, man. I remember we got connected for the first time in like Tampa, like 5 years ago or 4 years ago. And you were just kind of like me, just getting your foot in the door there. And I could tell you were hungry, and I was pretty much in the same position as you. Like we were both kind of newer investors, and it's pretty cool to see how you've grown so quickly. And I'm really proud of you, bro.
Thank you, bro. I'm glad I can call you a friend, right? I feel like we've both come so far from like that. When I met you, I was working for another guy and he sent me that content. And then I saw you like, oh, what? He's doing it on his own and he's like doing better than me. I was like, bro, I got to go do this shit. Like I remember seeing you and like talking in front of the audience. And this is at a Martinez event. I was like, oh, bro, if Greg's doing it, like I got to do it. And then you were sitting there talking to DM afterwards.
Yes. Yeah, it was Tampa. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's crazy how long ago that was. That was like, it's funny. Marketing and sales is interesting. Like I was probably 23 years old, I don't know, 22, 23 years old there. And just because I was in front of the audience with a microphone in my hand, apparently I was perceived as an expert. And I definitely know what I'm talking about. I'm not like discounting myself, but it's amazing to like how like people, if they perceive themselves or people get perceived as experts, and a lot of the time they are, but it's just crazy the whole human psychology of like when you're in an event, the guy hosting the event, like they're the celebrity, or like when you listen to someone's podcast, like I literally, like I kind of feel like a dick saying this, but dude, I was at a bar 3 nights ago in Florida, 4 nights ago, and there's some random dude like pointed me out and was like, dude, I've seen your YouTube shit and I've seen you on podcasts. And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? Like how much did I drink already? But like just the whole like perception of like social media, it just doesn't, I don't fucking stand it. I remember the first time I saw like a famous real estate podcaster in person, I was like, oh, it's a real person. It's just weird. You know what I'm saying with that?
Exactly, bro.
Strange.
Like what I get from the celebrity effect of my podcast, of like I have like
I love your podcast, by the way. I fucking listen to it all the time. It's really good. I always text you every 2 weeks. I'm like, dude, your podcast is good. And then copy, paste the next week. It's really good. Seriously. It is good. It's really good.
I have people who I never thought would listen to it, listening to it, be like, bro, I love this shit. And then they think I'm super legit. I'm like, bro, like I know where you're at. Like I'm nowhere close. I don't think I'm a bum. But you're 7 and 8. You're an 8-figure entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And like you're giving me credibility to where I'm at your level. I'm like, no, like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not producing that much.
Yeah. At least yet. You will, obviously.
Oh, at least yet, bro. I will. They'll go next year. I'm shooting for 8 figures.
That's amazing. And I know you'll fucking do it because you fucking know how to scale now with the different businesses that you're in, which I wanted to have actually be the theme of today's show. So before we get into like the main topic here, just give the listeners a little brief background of your journey so far over the last 4 years, and then we'll start off with, our first talking point.
Oh, man. So I was a college football player, all conference, thought I was going to go to the NFL and make fuck tons of money. I make it to the Seahawks. I try out. They're like, hey, bud, you ain't good enough. I go home. I have a kid on the way. I start a home inspection business. I do one home inspection. I was like, this shit sucks. And then I met a guy who I ended up working for. And at this point I was broke. I worked for him, build out an in-house call center. We're starting to do deals a month. We're doing multifamily deals, building his portfolio. And then I told him when I started working for him, I was like, bro, like, I want to be you. I don't want to work for you. Like just flat out. Like I try to be transparent with everybody. I'm a really honest person just because I expect transparency with other people. And then I left him, went dead fucking broke again. ended up having to sell everything I had just to pay rent one month, donating blood twice a week just to be able to pay rent. And then I get my wholesaling business up, doing 3-4 deals a month. And then eventually, like, I'm going, and like me and you were having these conversations, and I'm having conversations with other people of like how wholesaling isn't scalable. Like, don't get me wrong, it is 100% a cash machine, but the amount of work you have to put into that in order to get the results that I can get in other businesses is kind of crazy. And this is at scale.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
don't
at
get me
scale,
wrong, like you can generate serious amounts of cash very, very fast with wholesaling, but it's a hustle.
It's a
Right?
consistent hustle.
It's a consistent hustle to where it really, and we're talking about it this weekend in the mastermind, you have to kill the hustle inside of you, bro. You have to kill the hustle inside of you if you ever want to scale any type of business. Yes. My job is never to do shit. My job is to find out who's the best at doing that shit and then paint the vision, and then here we go.
Totally, dude. That's so fucking true. And especially with wholesaling. And I think I like how you kind of ended with that for now, because I want to really dive into the truth about transactional real estate, not the fluff that you see online, because I know guys, you know guys, we know the same people, and it's everyone likes to brag about how much money they're making in their business, but they're really not netting a lot of money. Like they're doing a couple $1 million a year in their wholesaling business, but their overhead is so high and they're not netting shit. And they're constantly on this hamster wheel. And that I've experienced this. Like I've had six figure months and crushed it, and crazy ass shit. And then the next month it like dips, and then you have to the thing with wholesaling that's good, like you said, is it a legitimate cash machine? You can basically make money out of thin air. I do no money down deals every week. Like that's all legit, but you're only as good as your last deal that you closed, no matter what. 100%. Right. And it's frustrating. It is very frustrating. Even if you have a team, it's the same shit,
And I don't care what anybody says. It is not consistent. And annoying fallacy in business is that cash flow is all consistent like a W-2. It's not. Even if you have a rental portfolio, that shit is still going to fluctuate. Right? Like it all
that's so fun.
Never consistent.
No.
But with wholesaling, you'll hear about people, and this is not uncommon, where they have like $200,000, $300,000 in escrow, and that shit'll all fall out. And they're still writing 30 to 60K checks.
Yep.
Like,
that's a real thing.
That's a real thing. So I thought about, okay, how can I keep this going? And then how can I do something that produces me more cash flow?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then it's scalable, right? Because I want an exit. Like I want to sell this thing for 9 figures, 10 figures.
Yeah, you want to scale. You want to build a real asset. And that's another thing that you actually just mentioned that I forgot to say. Like the sellability of a wholesaling company is the reason it is difficult is because there's really, I'm trying to think, like it's not that it's not a real business, because it is a real business, but like it's basically just a marketing business. Like it's very dependent upon the operator a lot of the times. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have a lot of intrinsic value, because all it is essentially you're just sourcing a deal at a discount and selling the deal and making a spread. So it's really hard to like, you know what I'm saying? Like why it's hard to sell, because no one really wants it. It's like, fuck, I'll sell it, but I don't really want it. Is it?
Wants
it. Yeah.
And I mean, there's lots of really, really high level operators. Don't get me wrong. Like I met some really, really people.
Totally.
But I've still yet to see someone sell it at a multiple.
Yes.
And that's where I was like, okay, what am I working for then to scale this if I can't step out and sell it at a multiple?
Yes.
If I can set it up good enough to where it brings me cash and it is somewhat passive. No business is ever passive. People are fucking behind you. It's all, you're making active things happen, and then you get residual income, and you still have to pull certain levers.
Oh, 100%
passive income.
No, not even with rentals. I'm getting fucked right now with the rentals I have. It's just been a disaster. Right. They're the most unpassive thing I have currently.
That's why I'm starting to do storage instead of rentals, because I have 3 rentals and I fucking hate it.
Dude, I hate tenants. I don't think I'm made for tenants personally. My personality, I mean, I think you're the same. I think you might have said this in one of your other podcasts. Dealing with like actual residential tenants is a debacle, right? I mean, it's just a debacle.
Bro, I don't care. And then when I do care, they fuck me over. So
yeah, you can't care. I've learned that. You just can't give a shit. Like you have to be okay with evicting somebody. And like, if you're not okay with evicting somebody, you should not be in the business because you're not going to last.
My first mentor was like, bro, what? He's like, are you a social worker or are you a business owner? Like, he was like, that's how you need to think about this shit. It's either your family or theirs. Because when you let 3 mortgages, like 3 evictions don't go,
yeah,
now you're shooting out $3,000 a month.
Yep.
That adds up, bud.
That does add up quickly. Very, very quickly. Yeah. Are your rentals in Fresno or are they in another area?
They're all 3 in California. One's in Bakersfield, one's in Lemoore, California. And then I have one in Fresno. 2 of them are notes that are pretty passive. And then one of them is a lease option. And the lease option is a complete shit show. These motherfuckers owe me like 30 grand. And like, because of the eviction moratorium, it's, bro.
Oh, they're not paying?
No, they're not paying. And I posted that picture on Instagram to where they're like, hey, if you evict us, we're taking an industrial jackhammer to your house and we're removing $20,000 worth of shit. I was like, oh my God.
What's the deal with evicting people in California? New York is pretty hard. California, it's actually easier to foreclose than New York, but I heard the evictions are a nightmare in California.
Oh, you can't get fucking Gavin Newsom just extended the eviction moratorium to like September, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like,
oh my gosh.
It's madness. And they were only offering 80% of like the collection through the government or what else. And so he's saying everyone's going to get paid, but like no one's ever going to see a penny of that money, dude.
No, and they tried to do that over here and they like made it so hard for like you to get your money as a landlord. Like my tenants were paying, but I had to evict them because they're not paying enough and I was just getting fucked. Yeah, that California. Can you do cash for keys in California or is that banned now?
No, we can do cash for keys. But
you
like,
can offer them money to leave and they can just get out of there.
Yeah, but the people in that house are psychopaths, like heroin addicted psychopaths. So like,
that's terrible. Yeah, that's a real. Now, did you inherit these people or did you select them?
Bro, they gave us $20,000 as a lease option payment.
Oh man, that's fucking
okay. Nice. Sweet. I was like, all right, awesome. That was like true profit. Well, now it's in the negative. And then when they quit paying, all their phones shut off. And so like we gave them a month because COVID had happened.
Yeah.
What's going on? Did you lose your job? Blah, blah, blah. Nothing. Couldn't get a hold of them. Got a hold of them like, oh yeah, we're bringing it. Never brought it. And then here we are. Like, and a series of that. And then them connecting with the housing authority to pay all of their rent 6 months back and 6 months forward. And then they don't sign the final paperwork to get it done.
Oh,
like,
dude.
Guys, come
on. Yeah, that's the thing with tenants. So the point of why Stratton and I are rambling here is like, if you're going to get in a rental property, you need to A, know what you're doing, and B, tenant selection. If you get the wrong tenant, I usually inherit tenants because I buy these properties at a good price, sight unseen. So it's my choice. But yeah, you get the wrong tenant in there, you're fucked. So storage business, definitely different game. You know, you got a lot more. It's more of a storage is more of like a business within a business from what I've seen on the outside in.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a business. There's more margin, there's more cash flow. And then like we were talking about this, every deal damn near takes the same amount of effort. So how can I do a bigger deal that's going to generate me more cash? Totally, like that's all I'm ever thinking about, to where my girlfriend and I were talking about it. And she's like, well, why don't we just buy like a 5,000 square foot one? I was like, because it's going to take the same amount of effort to buy a 40,000 square foot one.
Literally the same shit.
Generate more cash. We'll generate more cash. We can go raise more cash. We can bring in more equity partners. It automatically ups our net worth, and then we can go buy something even bigger round 2.
Exactly, dude. That's so true. I literally made that mistake like 2 months ago. I bought a mixed use commercial building and it's been a fucking bloodbath. And it's like, I should have just bought a bigger property and I would have been able to like profit better. But it ended up turning into like this. There's no retail market, and the fucking rehab shot over budget, and the leasing agent didn't do a good job. And I'm going to sell it now. But I'm like, man, I could have just like bought something that was like way bigger, and I would have had a better property, and it would have been the same either problem or great opportunity. And it just made me realize, like, what the fuck am I doing with a fucking mixed use building in kind of the middle of nowhere, But anyway, I digress. So obviously we were talking about wholesaling and how it is a great thing and also a thing that you need to be careful with in terms of scaling. You want to scale the right way, and you got to know what you're getting into. So like, tell me about the call center, man. Like I think it's a great service. I've referred people over to you guys. So how did you start it? And like, what have you done to like really grow it? Cause you're freaking doing some serious numbers with that business. And it's very impressive to see from the outside in.
Thank you, bro. So it started off as a call center. Now I'm pivoting into it. We are pivoting into like a VA business.
Okay.
And the reason I'll tell you why we're pivoting after. But the reason I started this thing, I at a point in time I had like 8 callers on my own. Like 8
Just calling for leads, like cold calling for you.
Yeah, cold calling, like through other services. So I go through a service in the Philippines that a friend referred me. And then I got to the point to where they couldn't give me the quality that I wanted at the scale that I needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I fired them. And then I met a guy at a conference. And I mean, I was close with this guy. I knew his wife. We all went to dinner. And he ended up screwing me over for $6,000. And then screwed over my friends for like $4,000. Like, just walked away, shut off his phone, didn't answer any calls, paid up front. Yeah. So, oh my God. And then from there, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I got to hire on my own callers. And then after that, a bunch of people like started coming to me. I was like, oh, I might, because everybody kept coming to me for like VAs. I was like, oh, I might start this company. Like, whatever. Like, it'll just be some extra cash on the side. Yeah. And like all of us, bro, it never is just something little. Then you're just like, well, it needs to be this, it needs to be perfect. It needs to like, get bigger. Right? If people are going to give me their money, I'm going to give them above and beyond what they're giving me their money for.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And so then it turned into this behemoth, and now we're close to like 90 employees, and it's growing like crazy. And I'd say the number one way I've grown it, affiliates is a little bit of it, but it's really networking and then putting the customer first. Right. Like, and then knowing the customer. Like, I know all of the positions that all of these people are in. I know exactly what they want to take off their plate. I know exactly what they're managing. I know exactly what the numbers they want are. And then we set it up. Everything is based around that. So how can we make their life easier? Like, how can we take everything off their plate, make their life extremely easy? They don't even worry about callers. It's damn near a lead generation service on that aspect of it, right? Yeah. Like, that's all you're worried about. We handle all the management, all the training, all the dialer issues, everything. So that's, I would say, us putting the customer first. And like, really, like, we do tons of gifts, all that good stuff.
Dude, that's amazing. And that's, people forget that it's the simple things that really matter and they really move the needle versus like just collecting the money. And like what we were talking about offline earlier, it's like people who get in trouble, they over promise and under deliver, and then the expectations don't meet, and then people get angry. But if you do the inverse, you know, you set yourself up to succeed for the long term, obviously, and you're doing that right now, you know, with your call center business. So next question, like around that topic, is what about the call center business and the potential VA staffing business that you're kind of transitioning into? What about that makes it superior from a scalability and a profitability and a cash flow standpoint versus that wholesaling business, right? Because that was like really our main pain point in the beginning of this podcast.
Number one, I know people, like, there's examples of people selling that at a multiple.
Yes, legitimate.
Like there's an example of me stepping out at a multiple, and I can sell it and like, oh wow,
it's a real asset.
Right, it's a real asset. We just made $500 million. Number two is I have an organization now. It's not like a small mom and pop wholesale company to where like our acquisitions guy goes and leaves on and starts his own company. right. Like, we don't have that problem. Like, we have an entire organization. Like, it's gonna.
You have a community. Yeah,
we have a community. We have people. We have all these systems and processes to where, bro, like, no one's like, okay, if the salesman steps away, fuck it, like, I'll find another salesman. But like, the barrier to entry to what I've created is significantly higher than wholesale. Like, you can go on YouTube and start that. But right, if the more money I get, the higher barrier to entry businesses I'm going to purchase and start. There's less competition. I got to worry about less shit, right? And then it just makes it more fun for me.
Yes, you're building a moat around your businesses.
Exactly. To where, bro, like, I have over $40,000 a month in payroll.
That's fucking wild,
right? Like, people can't step in and start that shit.
Like, yeah, that's a real nut to crack. Yeah, yeah. You just start that shit. It's so true, dude. That's so true. You need real money to get involved at that level now. It's not like, and you need to know how to do it versus wholesaling. It's not easy, but you can literally just go and fucking find a bunch of vacant houses and eventually turn a deal. And it's not,
you can YouTube your way to that, to where, like, I was talking about with like how much money I've spent on education this year.
Yeah.
That's my barrier to entry of learning how to set up something that's lasting, that takes care of people, right? And that grows at a significant level.
Totally, dude. Totally. That's so fucking true. Now, on the revenue side, on the consistent cash flow side, what makes this style of business superior over wholesaling besides the obvious escrow fallouts and fucking, title issues and whatever?
Just a little bit more consistency, right? I'd say you're always going to have attrition, right? And I'm never going to lie and say like we don't lose clients, right? This business comes with a whole another set of problems, but at least we know we have a certain amount coming in every month, no matter what.
Yeah, it's stickier.
Right, it's sticky. And then our pivot, I'm making that pivot to make the clients even stickier, right? That's all I care about. Like, how can I make the separation of the me and the client as hard as possible?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
how you retain as many people.
That's so true. That's so true. And now are you guys more of an MRR, monthly recurring revenue business, or is it still a transaction kind of scenario in your business?
No, it's monthly recurring revenue.
It's a monthly. See, that's the driver there. See, that is what separates even rentals from flipping. It's, you might not make as much money, but every month, assuming they're paying
every month. And I just think as humans, and especially as entrepreneurs, we're rash ass motherfuckers.
Yes.
And like, we aren't great money management people, right? And so like this much comes in and I made the mistake of not saving enough for taxes. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, Uncle Sam, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Right. All that good stuff to where now, like, okay, it's coming in and I like to predict the predictability of it. And then I have my other businesses in place. So even though this one doesn't generate as much, eventually, but I can still go out and make really, really risky choices because I know I have X amount of cash coming in every month, no matter what I do, to where I can go and I can make really, really risky education choices, right? To it. We will be at 75K plus in just education this year.
It's amazing.
We're in June. That's halfway through the year.
That's amazing. And that is banana. And that's just masterminds, coaches, consulting, the whole gamut.
Yep. Masterminds, coaches, consulting, to where I can go do that and I can empty out my bank account at times. Because like, okay, no, we have this cash coming in here. We have this other business coming in here.
Yep.
So like, okay, yes, it may be tight for a week. Whatever, but like we got money coming in.
It's coming in. Exactly. You can sleep well at night versus like, oh fuck, I hope that deal doesn't fall out of escrow and I gotta pay my, assistant. Yeah, that's a tough position as a wholesaler, and then you made a lot of really good points there on why. And I think the biggest thing I heard this on your podcast. I think the biggest challenge, I think you interviewed that guy, Matt Garbedian or whatever his name is from Fresno.
Yeah, Matt stepped out. Matt was the biggest wholesaler in like Central California.
Yeah. And he was saying like, I really like that interview, by the way. That guy seems like a really nice guy. He was like, a lot of times it's like their identity is like a real estate investor. And it's hard for people to take that mask off versus like, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh man, I've done hundreds of houses and I made millions of dollars and shit. And like, that's all I know how to do is like, fix and flip and do rentals and wholesale. And like, it's hard for people to take that mask off and maybe do something different, right? Like another niche business.
Bro, it was, and so I talked to Pardo. I think my podcast with Pardo came out, but I went to the Storage Rebellion and I talked
that guy's
to
awesome, by the way.
He's
great guy.
Amazing. He's the most humble human being I've ever met. And he's
very humble.
This shit.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him about how did you overcome losing your identity as a real estate investor? And he was like, you must be asking me that for a reason. I was like, well, yeah, I've talked to DM about it. I've talked to other people about it, to where you pigeonhole yourself into being a real estate investor instead of a business owner and an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And you limit yourself that way. And then like when you step out of it, you feel like an imposter even more. And I'm sure all of us feel like imposters every day, right? Because everybody's flexing on social media. They're all doing 9 figures, right? Everybody for some reason is doing 9 figures.
Yeah. That's so true. And it's like
pulling the mask off is hard, bro. And then like, but it's a growing experience.
Totally, dude. Absolutely, especially when it's all you kind of know how to do. Like at least like a lot of investors, that's like all they know how to do is flip, which is a good skill set. Listen, I think that's another thing with wholesaling. There's a benefit. When you have the skill set to go out and acquire a property at a discount, you'll always be able to make money no matter what. Shit hits the fan, you got to go get a deal. Fucking dude, that's the best. That's more valuable than a college education times 100 is going out and being able to basically add value and create value out of nowhere. I mean, that's a meal ticket for life over a fucking law degree from, UCLA. You know what I mean? You'll make more money wholesaling too. So that's interesting. Now, when it comes back to the real estate business, you didn't just totally punt wholesaling. Like you're still doing it. So what are you doing today? Like, because I know you've pretty much got your wholesaling business to where like you're not really involved anymore, and you did that strategically. So what steps did you take to kind of get out of the junk of the day to day?
I said I'm tired of talking to sellers. I'm not going to talk to another seller again. And then I was like, all right, my lead. And then I created some strategic partnerships. So I have 3 different JV partners across the country, to where I have inherently, to train people, I have to generate tons of leads. And so I picked those markets, and now we JV on all those deals. Our leads manager will take it in, lead manage it, handle all the follow-up. As soon as it's ready to go, we pass it over to our JV partner. Our JV partner closes it, disposes it, and we have to check.
Dude, that's amazing. That's amazing. And are you still doing stuff in the Central Valley, or are you in other areas besides California?
Oh yeah, we have Central Valley. We have some nationwide stuff, and then Flint, Michigan. So like,
there's Flint, Michigan. Is there deals in Michigan? Because ever since Flint, Michigan's like the lowest income area in the country.
There's 0 deals in Flint, Michigan. You guys shouldn't go there.
No, but on the real, is that like a? I've never heard of someone doing a deal in Flint, Michigan. Like I just maybe not. I don't know if enough people then. Yeah. Flint, Michigan. Does it come with the good water? Is good water included with the house?
No, never.
Flint, Michigan. That's funny you said Flint. I'm like, dude, that's like. I was driving across the country a couple months ago, and I remember I was on like the Indiana-Michigan border, and I'm like, man, everyone gives Michigan a bad fucking rap. I bet you it's really nice up here. So maybe one day I'll check out Michigan and see for myself, because everyone's like, oh, Detroit is a war zone, and yeah, Flint's got no water and whatever. But it's all bullshit.
But does it make you money?
Well, dude, if there's someone willing to buy a property at a good price that allows me to make a profit, I don't care where the fucking house is. I have noticed what. Go ahead. I was gonna say I've noticed that like the higher barrier markets like California, New York, everyone likes to stay away from. Well, like San Diego, because everyone's like, oh, it's so competitive there. That is true. But dude, like we're doing a wholesale deal right now there at $55K like on an assignment. And I'm like, how many of those do you need to do every month to really like, and like that's profit. Like how many of those do you need to do to like make a lot of money? Like these little 2,000. I like the base hits too. I will do base hit deals now, where there's smaller deals. I don't give a fuck. But the bigger markets, like you said, with the barriers to entry, New York with the attorneys, that's where the opportunity is, because not as many people are going to want to do deals in an area where there's a lot of attorneys like New York, which creates a barrier to entry, bigger profits, and you can build your moat better versus like in Dallas, for example, you can still make money there. There's probably fucking 500 wholesalers in Dallas.
And there's 500 wholesalers in Dallas because they're low barrier to entry, and then you don't have an expensive enough house on a consistent basis for like the median margin to like rip off 100K deals.
Yes.
In San Diego, it's not uncommon, or in those expensive areas in LA or on an apartment complex, if you rip off a 100K deal, because like, bro, the margins you're dealing with,
it's just there.
Like,
yeah.
It's just there.
It's there. Totally, dude. That's so true. And like people get scared locking up a house for like 300 grand. I'm like, dude, that's where you want to be at. Like if you lock up a house for 10 grand, like you can maybe make a lot of money on it, but odds are if you lock up a house for 10, you're selling it for 14. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep. That's it. In Flint, like it's a volume play for us. In Central California, it is a margin play.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. When you say Central California, like is like Bakersfield, Fresno, is there any other cities in there that I was missing? Stockton?
We market from Bakersfield to Sacramento.
Bakersfield to okay, so you just like basically right into that whole inner part of California. And you're still living in Fresno, right? Mostly?
Like 6 months and 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'll be out here this entire month, and then I'll go back to Fresno for a little bit.
Fresno.
And then we'll go back out there. And just right. It's just I like the call center too, because it's all virtual.
Yeah, literally the whole thing is virtual. Yeah.
I don't ever want to have to go into an office and rah people and then show up and then leave the office late, and then I can control my schedule, and all I have to do is make a phone call, bro. If someone needs to be talked to, I just make a phone call.
It's so true.
And I don't have to go into my office and rah everybody, get everybody riled up, create that culture. I feel like we've created an amazing culture internally, 100% virtual. It's a little bit
and you could do that. You could do that too. And you can be more productive, I think, virtual. There's so many things where I never meet the person. And like we got a productive outcome. Like some other investors I'll JV with, like, I'm like, oh man, I've never mentioned the person before. It's like, shit, we made a bunch of money together, never met each other. It's like, fuck, it's just the way the world is now with all the technology and like Zoom. Like, I mean, I've met you a few times in person, but most of our communication is virtual, and most of people's communication is virtual because not everyone lives in the same city. Man, that's interesting. Now, are you seeing like the Bakersfield and like the Fresno markets like crank up just like these markets in like, Southern California, or is it still much, much cheaper than,
No.
Orange County, Southern Cal?
Fresno's now at like 400K.
Are you serious?
But it
Holy
used to be 350 to 300.
Wow.
So like over this pandemic, because now we have an influx of all the other, like, you think about San Francisco, bro, the median house price is like 1.2.
Yeah,
then you
for sure.
like LA with a really high house price. And then nobody wants to move to Bakersfield because Bakersfield's a shit show, a zombie. And then and then even if you move into Sackville, you're paying $700,000-$800,000. All these people who can work remotely move into Fresno for 1.2 million in Fresno, bro. You're gonna get a nice house.
You're living high on the hog at 1.2.
Yeah, you're living high. It's like us moving to the Midwest, bro.
That would be insane. Like you could have like $900,000 house that looks like a castle.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. Are you seeing an exodus out of Fresno now, or is that still not really because everyone's leaving California, but really not, that's not that true. Cause there's still a fuckload of people. Last time I was in California, there was, it's just insane, but I know why that is. Cause it's a beautiful fucking place. San Diego. I mean, who wouldn't want to live there?
Right. I don't see a lot of people leaving Fresno. When we talk to a lot of people, obviously you have those people, I'm getting the hell out of California.
Yeah.
But if anything, well, Fresno is for sure growing more than like a lot of other markets in the country, just because of all the same work from home stuff. You don't need to live in a 1,000 square foot condo.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's interesting. This is funny. I was talking to someone who's pretty wealthy, and we're talking about taxes, and a lot of people will say like, oh, California, the taxes are high, which is definitely true. Like that is a fact for sure. And I'm not a resident of California, but if you really think about it, let's say you net $1 million in your active business, call center, wholesaling, flipping, and you have a bunch of real estate, commercial real estate, apartment houses, even single family homes. You're probably not going to pay any fucking taxes no matter where you live, right? If you have $1 million in depreciation, you do a cost seg and you make $1 million, you can live in San Diego and not pay any taxes because your income is going to get washed out. So a lot of people who say that, they probably don't have enough rentals to support the depreciation. Because I have a buddy who made $1 million and he fucking didn't pay any taxes, and he netted $1 million. So
he netted $1 million
and didn't pay any taxes because he's got a bunch of commercial real estate. So it's like, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, that's interesting. But I'm just fucking impressed with you, man. I mean, it's any like final, I guess, business wisdom that you have learned over the last really like 2-3 years when you started hitting it hard that you could share with the listeners. Maybe they're just getting started and they're on the fence. And the cool thing is, like 5 years ago, our conversation would be like, dude, like, how do I get 10 grand in the bank within the next 60 days? And now it's completely different. So I feel like there's a lot of people who might be getting started now, but if they really put the work in and they use their mind over their hustle muscle, they can make some serious fucking progress and change their financial life and ultimately their life in a reasonably short time frame.
The hustler needs to die within you if you want to scale. Number one. But you got to get to that point. And this is somewhat of a tangent, right? Because you don't want to start thinking that way too early, and then you're just sitting around like nothing's worth my time.
Yeah. You're just like,
done that shit.
Yeah, same. Been there, bro.
Right? The hustler needs to die. You need to make a lot more room in your life for thinking.
That's so true, bro.
Me and you have talked about this. You need to be able to think out complex problems, because when you solve the complex problems, you're going to make more money.
Dude, 100%. I love that. That's so true too. It's hard to think if you think about it. It's easier to just do.
It's hard to sit down and force yourself to think, or go on a walk and force yourself to think, or really hash out the issue you're having and like come to a legitimate solution. Dude,
that is the number one thing that will move the needle for people. And they don't think that. They're thinking they got to call more like longer hours. I have a friend I'm so happy you actually said that, because I have a friend, newer investor. He's done some deals and he works like a pack mule. Like he's just a hustle machine. And it's great. It's a great skill set to have, because a lazy person, especially when they're starting, isn't going to last. But I told him, he's like, he needs some help. He's hitting a little bit of a rough patch. And I'm like, buddy, here's the problem with all your hustle. And I said this like genuinely, I wasn't like trying to be like a douchebag. I said, the problem is because like I was able to like take a very non-biased approach to his problem because it's not my problem. Like I feel for him, I want to help him, but I'm not like in the fucking weeds with him. It's almost like when you lose your dog, you give a fuck. It just happened to me. But like like you're like, hey, is anyone like, can you find my dog for me? But like the person's like, yeah, I'd love to help you, but it's not my dog, so I'll look, but I'm not that invested in it. So anyway, I'm going on a ramble here. I said, listen, dude, when you invest a lot of time and energy into hustling, you're going to have high expectations for the results. And if your results don't meet those expectations because you're putting in a fuckload of effort, you're going to be very disappointed if it doesn't work out. I'm not telling you to not work. I'm telling, instead of spending 8 hours a day calling, spend 4 hours a day calling and see if you get the same results, and then spend 2 hours a day thinking about how to solve the problem most effectively. And he was like, oh, fuck, I never thought about that, you know? And I'm not like some business guru by any means, but I was able to kind of like get him to see the benefit of thinking over just doing. Because if you do the wrong fucking thing all the damn time, you're just going to get more pissed off and frustrated. And it's not going to work, you know?
Bro. And then you got to learn how to channel that hustle. I'm not telling you not to hustle.
Yeah.
But the hustle needs to be put into different things all the time, right? So I'm working really hard to set up something, pass it off. I'm no longer ever touching that thing.
Totally.
Now the hustle's funneled somewhere else to where I can keep on passing it off. Dude,
that's golden, man. And that's great, like parting advice for the new listeners here. Like make sure that you like, here's the homework assignment for everyone right now. Like go out and actually commit 3 times this next upcoming week, whenever you listen to this, to just thinking about what you want and how to solve the problem versus like I remember one time, the last story I'll share here and then we'll wrap it up, is like, this is right when I was brand new. I was so fucking frustrated, dude. I was like, why am I not getting deals? And there was a lot of reasons why I wasn't getting deals. But I went to go play some roller hockey at the park. And I was just shooting the puck around, just thinking, and no phone or anything near me. And I said, I asked myself a question mentally. And I'm like, what would the highest potential motivated seller, like where would they probably be? Because like originally I was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I'm thinking, I asked myself a question and I answered. I said, oh, it's probably on people who haven't paid their taxes, right? Like logic, you know? So I remember I said, well, then let me go get that list. And I remember I mailed that list and made like 15K banger. And then like I've made like millions ever since, like mailing those tax delinquent people. So I was like, fuck, man, like that, like 25 minutes of playing hockey, thinking about solving my problem has literally made me like millions of dollars. So the point of that is like, you got to really ask and answer these questions and then go implement the insight that you gain from that. And you'll do just fine if you're in it for the long haul.
Without a doubt. And last one, go read Unique Ability 2.0.
Who wrote that book? I got to read that. I'm not like putting you on the spot, but I just, is that Dan Sullivan?
It's Dan Sullivan.
Okay.
It's the best book I've ever written. Best book I've ever read because it showed me what my personality fits as far as like working, right? And that allows you to see if you're a visionary integrator and what things can you do all the time that don't even feel like work, but move the needle forward for your company.
Dude, that makes a lot of sense. Unique ability to, dude, every time I read a book from that guy, like the Who Not How, or I'm just like, holy shit, like this guy is like, I feel like he really just has the entrepreneur game just dialed in terms of how to be an effective leader and entrepreneur. So every time that guy puts out a book, I'm always consuming it. So thank you for that. Dude, if people want to connect with you and A, check out your call center business, or B, do a wholesale deal with you. I know you're doing deals all over the country. And then I guess C would be like, find you on social. What are those 3 ways for people to do that? And I'll have my assistant put this in the show notes.
So our call center and VA company is called Call Magicians. If you guys have any VA needs or need cold callers, that's where you can come set up a call with us. We're going to help you out.
Cool.
Where you can find me online is Strat Daddy on Instagram.
Strat Daddy.
That's the best way to reach me. I try and stay pretty active on there. And then go follow me on TikTok. You need to get on TikTok.
Dude, you've been telling this to me and I've been total wiener about it. I need to do that.
Make a big push, bro. I'm telling you, it's a moneymaker. So I was at a workspace yesterday. One of my good friends, who I met her in 4th grade, she now has I think it's at a $5 million supplement company within 2 years. All of her marketing is TikTok.
Get the fuck out of here, dude. That's crazy. Damn.
Hop on TikTok. That's what we talked about at this mastermind too. They're like, TikTok. No, if you're not on TikTok, you are losing money. you are letting money just burn. TikTok, because you can go viral a lot faster and you can get eyeballs like that.
So there's just cheaper attention, basically.
Bro, Instagram throttles all of my shit. On TikTok, if I make one good thing and I get 1 million views, that's 1 million eyeballs. You know how much money I have to spend on ads to get 1 million?
Oh my God, dude, the cost per thousand or whatever the fuck, it's so expensive now on Facebook because everyone's doing it. So
It's
TikTok's,
insane.
yeah,
TikTok.
What's your TikTok? Strat Daddy?
Strat Daddy.
Callmagicians.com. We'll put that in the notes. Strat Daddy. Last thing, if they have a wholesale deal they want to do with you, should they do Instagram or should they reach out to your company site for the real estate business? Is there any way
No,
they should?
just reach out to my Instagram.
Cool.
I answer everything. This is 100% genuine. If I do not respond to you, double message me, because stuff gets lost in the
Oh
DM.
yeah,
bro. And it's never personal. I'm not ever trying to ignore you. I try and answer all of them. But let's say I get a message and then my son comes up, dad. It may get lost.
100%. Don't take anything personal. I think that's one of the. I read a book a couple weeks ago called The 4 Agreements, and that was one of the agreements. Don't take things personally, which is really good principle to live by. So, dude, it's always a pleasure talking with you, man. I fucking really know that everyone is going to get value from this episode. Make sure, if you're still tuned in at this point, leave me a review on iTunes. Freaking, yeah, that's how we get ballers like Stratton on the show, by the reviews, the fucking relevancy of the show. And then please, if you got value from this show, like copy and paste it on your phone and share it with people. That's how we get the message out here. So thank you so much for listening. And Strat, man, hope you have a great rest of your day, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Pave the Way Podcast. We hope you got value from today's episode. Make sure you download Greg's free guide on daily personal productivity for free at www.pavetheday.com. That's Pave the Day spelled DAY.com. If you have any questions or want to reach out, head over to www.pavethewaypodcast.com. We'll see you on the next episode.